Again, more questions being fired at him, but again, our coverage of this continues. And Vanessa, I know that we started off with Orange County, and recap us what happened in Orange County, then we'll come back and hit the highlights with the state of Florida as well.
We did, Greg. In fact, there was some new information released in Orange County with Orange County leaders as well as Orlando leaders as well. 3 new cases today in Orange County, a man in his 60s, a man who's 73, a man 57, the mayor said. Also, some interesting things. The mayor's talking about some testing sites that might be available. Dr. Pino said they could be available as early as Friday. One would be at the Orange County Convention Center, where they would be able to test hundreds of people. Another would be just for some specific people on the east side of the county, Alafaya Trail area. You'd have to qualify in order to be tested there. Also, Mayor Demings mentioning the fact that some hotels said that they will be shutting down, some of them as early as Friday. And then, Greg, I was struck by 2 things that the mayor said. He said this is our new normal, and he also said that this is going to be an uncomfortable period of time for weeks or possibly months.
Also saying that with those hotels, just the simple fact that they're going to be closing because of a lack of business, that thousands of people that were working in those various hotels will now also be out of work and a part of the system that we're going to have to uplift during this difficult time that's going to take days, weeks, or months. Now, on the state level, if you kept hearing the phrase PPE, a lot of folks on social media ask me what that is. That's personal protective equipment. And that's a shortage right now in the state of Florida. Of course, the governor talking about that, but he kept underlining the need for testing, and he does feel like that is going to come our way soon. He did say he was going to call and talk with President Donald Trump today about that. And then those focal point areas, Broward County, where it's our second most populous county, it's Fort Lauderdale, that's where most of the cases are. But he also focused, in terms of our viewing area, on the villages with that population there, many of them in that at-risk age group. And he talked about testing that's already happening and increasing that as well.
And he also, Greg, it's funny thing that he mentioned, the fact that he said it's not just the issue of testing, but you need the testing materials and equipment. And he kept talking about the swabs that he had requested. Like, I think he said 500,000 that they still haven't received. So that's another big issue. And
then the sad part of today's announcement was the announcement of yet another death. A 70-year-old male in Clay County died. Clay County is up in the Jacksonville area. So most of the state is seeing small pockets, small impacts, at least in terms of the official, because we don't have that many tests in terms of the official documentation. Broward County, again, the 17th largest city and county in the country, is experiencing the most. But again, it's all going to go up. Those numbers, Vanessa, as we all know, are going to go up as we get those tests in and more people can be tested. But there's the latest. It took an hour and 11 minutes of 2 major news conferences. The one thing also that I want folks to know is that we're going to bring those news conferences from whatever county is providing those to us, and we're also focused on all of the counties in our viewing area as well, and we will bring you that information just as soon as those counties release whatever their numbers are. So we've got everybody covered here, but those 2 happen to be live on the air today at both 4 and 5 o'clock. All right, Vanessa, in-depth coverage now of our coronavirus continues right now at 5. Again, I'm Greg Wormuth along with Vanessa Eccles.
Now here at Channel 9, our effort to practice social distancing continues. That's why you won't see Greg and me together during this newscast. But right now, let's get you caught up on the big developments. There have been many today. FEMA is activated in all 50 states now. That's going to give state governments access to much needed supplies. We've talked about that. The U.S. Census Bureau has suspended its data collection for the next 2 weeks. Meanwhile, scientists at the University of Oxford claim they have developed a rapid test for the virus. It cuts down the time to find results to just half an hour, 3 times faster than the current tests. Now, right before the governor spoke, we brought you a live update, as we mentioned, from Orange County and Orlando leaders. Channel 9's Lauren Seabrook was there and brings us some of the most important developments.
Well, Vanessa, those mayors wanted the public to know that they are literally making changes by the hour, and these are very difficult decisions for them, so they really want the public to bear with them, keep that in mind, and know that they are not taking any of this lightly. We know right now we have 9 cases here in Orange County. I wanted to tell you the details that we have so far on those cases. On the 7th case here in Orange County, it is a 60-year-old man who traveled from South Asia. We know that he had symptoms for a few days and is currently in the hospital with pneumonia. We know the 8th case is a 73-year-old man who is in the hospital. They are still investigating how he got it. He did not travel outside of the country. So they're still trying to figure out who he got it from, how he got it. The 9th case is a 57-year-old man, and they are also not sure how he got it. Now, the biggest news to come out of this press conference is that Mayor Jerry Deming says he's been on the phone with many of our hotel leaders, and he has learned today that several hotels will be shutting down because they just do not have enough people that are staying there right now. Of course, that is a huge impact to our local economy, to our hospitality industry. He is also planning to get financial help in the hands of many of these people who need it. That's people who work in these hotels. That's some of the bartenders and the servers who work in our local bars that have now closed down. They also do expect the number of cases to grow as we get more testing. That is something they're counting on in the coming days and weeks. They say that the large drive-up testing site we've been telling you about that will be at the Orange County Convention Center will likely be open in the next 48 hours. The health department also plans on having their own smaller version of that at the health department. They also want people to know that if you do have symptoms, they are asking you to call or go to your doctor first. Don't just immediately race to the hospital. They say that the hospital is overloaded, and they really just want you to go to the hospital or the ER if it is a life-threatening situation.
Every patient that goes to ER is a mask, is a PPE, is the resources that has to be discarded. And in a time like this, it's critically important that we reserve our resources because this is just the beginning.
We also heard from leaders from the United Way who say that they are receiving an unprecedented volume of phone calls through 211 right now. They told us earlier in the week people could call for COVID-19 questions. Also, people can call 211 if you need financial assistance. But because of that, they are receiving more calls than ever. They're telling us it's about triple the load they are normally used to. And so if you are one of those people who needs to call, that is what they're there for. But they ask you to please be patient. They say the average wait time right now is about 23 minutes. They will get to you. They are doing their best to get as much information out as possible and also to get as much financial help out as possible. But the other thing they want to mention is that they need donations desperately, because right now the only donations they've received is about $160,000, and they say that is just not enough to help all these people in our community who truly need it right now. Reporting live in Orange County, Lauren Seabrook, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
And Dr. Pino today in that news conference used these words, important for all of us to note, this is just the beginning. President Donald Trump tried to bring some good news to Americans today, trying to show that the economy's outlook is not so bleak, but trading on Wall Street was halted as Trump spoke when circuit breakers kicked in as the Dow plunged. It also finished way in the red today. Channel 9 Shannon Butler joins us now live. And Shannon, we expected to hear more about the plan to give some financial relief directly into the hands of Americans, but those details are still being worked out.
Yeah, and people really want to know what that means. The president says those details won't come at least today, maybe not even tomorrow, but he did say that he didn't think the unemployment rate would skyrocket. In fact, he says a comeback will be quick, but it seems to be a little consolation to people who could now be on the verge of losing a lot. It was a figure thrown out by Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin that shocked the entire nation, that it's possible coronavirus could mean a 20% unemployment rate if the government doesn't act fast. But today, the president disagreed with that number.
No, I don't agree. That's a absolute total worst case scenario. No, we don't look at that at all.
Thank you. And my second question.
We're nowhere near it.
To put it in perspective, that would creep near the number for the Great Depression at 24.9%. The Great Recession saw only a 10% unemployment rate. And even after 9/11, the number was only as high as 5%. And right now, there are so many questions about the stimulus package and those $1,000 checks said to be sent out to most Americans. The president sent out this tweet this morning to the out-of-work workers, like from the bars and the restaurants. So we expected more details about that idea, but we didn't get any more comforting information from President Trump.
We are looking at different numbers. We're looking at timing that would be different, splitting the time, splitting the payments. Everybody seems to want to go big.
But the idea isn't new. The U.S. did it during the Great Recession. $14.2 billion in stimulus checks were sent out. $300 to $600 were given out to each person, and about $300 per child. Now, the White House also said today there was a meeting with the tourist industry, but gave no details about that call. It's something that is so crucial here for Central Florida. Trump also announced that he would suspend home evictions and foreclosures until the end of April. Greg.
All right, Shannon, thank you. Custodians now deep cleaning dozens of Orange County schools. Students don't have to return to campus until April, but Channel 9's Michael Leparty learned some teachers are upset they'll have to go back in on Monday and are actually considering suing now.
The custodians wore masks and gloves today as they sprayed down parts of Weatherby Elementary. Even though students won't return in person until April, Orange County schools are now deep cleaning all of the campuses. But teachers were told to report to work on Monday, and that's concerning for the union.
To mandate that teachers go in is not acceptable.
Wendy Dormal says teachers are willing to work from home, but with all the concerns about coronavirus, she won't support them going into schools for now, especially if an employee has underlying health issues.
It seems like a safety issue, not just for teachers, but for the students. A lot of them are parents, and for the community at large.
We need our teachers to come back on Monday, and the rest of our staff, so we can give them instructions on what we need to do moving forward to ensure that our students are continuing to learn during this time and that they remain safe and healthy.
District spokesman Scott Howitt says no decision has been made as to whether teachers would have to show up in person every day, and he said steps would be taken to help protect staff.
And we will practice social distancing. We'll make sure that we're limiting meetings to 10 or less.
Even if the schools are cleaned, teachers may not show up on Monday. The union says it's preparing to file a lawsuit unless the district changes course. Michael Leparty, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
And students at state universities will stay online through the rest of this semester. UCF says this move will help protect students, faculty, and staff. Officials say they've been working for weeks to make sure everyone can make the switch to remote learning. The Orlando Diocese told us today that Catholic churches around Florida are putting masses and other church events on hold until further notice. Any parish or ministry events like prayer groups and Bible studies are also postponed. Funerals or other celebrations like baptisms or weddings are being limited to immediate family members who are not sick. Priests and other parish staff are being told to self-isolate according to CDC guidelines. Vanessa?
Many Florida gas stations are now selling fuel for less than $2 per gallon. Concerns about COVID-19 have led to canceled flights, postponed travel, and people working from home, creating a surplus of crude oil. As of today, the average cost of a gallon of regular gas in Florida, $2.13. According to AAA, Orlando's average is $2.05, and Daytona Beach's average $2.19. Remember, you can always find the lowest prices near you by clicking on Pump Patrol in the traffic section of our website, WFTV.com.
Lots of traffic headed to our beaches today. Beautiful beach weather. In fact, New Smyrna Beach reached capacity, and at 5:15 they had to close down some of the ramps because, again, that social distancing and the number of people on the beach was an issue. Here